This is the Democratic Voice of Burma. Welcome to DVB English News. I'm Joe. In this week's headlines, nearly 5,000 people killed by military since 2021 coup. Amnesty International calls for release of a trade union leader. The NUG claims resistance forces control 60% of Myanmar. And author Jane Ferguson on the social history of Burmese cinema. The Assistance Association for Political Prisoners documents that 4,961 civilians have been killed by the military and its proxy forces since the 2021 coup. At least 630 children are among the dead, with 106 being killed so far this year. The number of unverified deaths has surpassed an additional 1,000.
We also have the two different lists. The one is verified list. Another one that we are not published is unverified list. It also excludes in our daily briefing. Every day we get the information through our networks. So every day the fidelity list is increased.
That was Ja So-win, the head of the Mental Health Assistance Program at AAPP. He added that the AAPP doesn't document those killed in the fighting between the military and resistance forces nationwide. The Armed Conflict Location and Event Data Project documents over 50,000 total killed in Myanmar in the last 3 years. Amnesty International is calling for the release of trade union leader That Ninh Ong. He was rearrested by the military on June 23rd, after being released from Zamatwe prison in Mon State, where he served a 2-year sentence for his role in the civil disobedience movement. That Ninh Ong was sentenced to 7 years under the counterterrorism law. He is being held at Yangon's insane prison. The AAPP documents that 26,588 others, like him, have been arrested for political reasons since the 2021 coup. The National Unity Government released a statement to mark its 3rd anniversary earlier this week. It claimed that resistance forces, including the People's Defense Force, control over 60% of the country as well as 5 border towns. The NUG Prime Minister's Office spokesperson, Napon Lat, said that administration services are being provided in resistance strongholds. He added that the NUG is engaging with civil society groups, neighboring countries, and international bodies such as the UN. Zakabuza is a specialist in security and politics in Southeast Asia, and a professor at the National War College in Washington, D.C. He spoke to DVB about the military's losses on the battlefield against the Karen National Union and its allied resistance forces in Myawaddy last month. The military raised the Myanmar flag at its outpost on April 23rd. It was seized and held by the KNU for 12 days. The military required assistance from the Karen National Army, formerly known as the Border Guard Force, to retake control of the outpost last week.
All they have right now is aerial attacks and long-range artillery, neither of which is very accurate. They're dropping 250-pound gravity bombs. These are not laser-guided munitions. But frankly, the Tatmadaw are crap soldiers. They're just not that good at soldiering.
That was Zakabuza, a professor at the National War College in Washington, D.C. DVB Bureau Chief Monmon Myat sat down in the newsroom with Jane Ferguson, a lecturer in the School of Culture, History, and Language at the Australian National University. They discussed her new book on Myanmar's film industry. It's called Silver Screens and Golden Dreams, a social history of Burmese cinema.
I was interested in people's everyday lives and personal memories, and they told me so many stories about the film industry that they enjoyed so much as kids in the Shan State or in Mandalay or Yangon. They had happy memories of the movies that they loved and the stars that they used to follow. They didn't like it, for example, that the bad guys would always be wearing Shan pants.
That was Jane Ferguson, a lecturer at the Australian National University. Newsroom Podcast Episode 10 will be available on Monday, May 6th. Listen on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Audible, Spotify, or YouTube Music. Find DVB English News wherever you get your podcasts. And that's it for this week's headlines. I'm Joe. Coming up, the Fort in Bangkok is hosting a panel discussion on the power of citizen journalism in Myanmar on May 9th. It will feature 2 journalists, former Burma VJs, who reported undercover on the 2007 Saffron Revolution for DVB. The Fort Talks is a speaker series hosted by Fortify Rights. Stay tuned to DVB English News on Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and TikTok. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Thanks for listening.